ninth grade students. Today, we will learn about direct objects and indirect objects. So, at the end of this lesson, you are expected to identify the direct and the indirect objects after transitive verbs and to write your own sentences using transitive verbs with two objects. Let's start. At the beginning, let's remember some important information that you already know. Let's study the following sentences. Sam likes reading. The girl is laughing now. Notice the difference between the two sentences in their structure. As you can see, in this sentence, we have a subject, and that is Sam, a verb, likes, and an object, reading. What does Sam like? Sam likes reading. Reading is the object of the verb like. This verb is transitive verb because it needs an object. In the second example, the girl is the subject. Is laughing, right? It's a verb, but we don't have an object. This is because laugh is a verb that doesn't need an object, and we call it intransitive verb. Now, as we said, we have two types of verbs, transitive verbs and intransitive verbs. You have also to know that some transitive verbs may need two objects, not only one object, but two objects. Example, I gave a gift to Ali. Here, I is the subject, gave is a verb, a gift is an object because it answers the question, what did you give Ali? I gave Ali a gift. But what about to Ali? It's another object. It answers the question, to whom did you give the gift? I gave the gift to Ali. So here in this sentence, the two objects are a gift and Ali. Now, a gift is the direct object. Why is it the direct object? Because it answers the question, what? What did you give Ali? I gave Ali a gift. While Ali is the indirect object because it answers the question, to whom? To whom did you give the gift? To Ali. Notice that the second indirect object depends on the first object, the direct object, and that's why it is called the indirect object. Let's look at other examples. I wrote a note to the teacher. Okay, what did you write? I wrote a note. So it's clear that note is an object and it is the direct object because it answers the question, what? While to the teacher comes after the direct object and it is the indirect object and it answers the question, to whom? To whom did you write a note? Now, please pay attention that the direct object comes immediately after the verb and it is mostly a thing, a note. A note comes immediately after the verb wrote and it's a thing. While the indirect object, and that is the teacher in this example, should come after the prepositions for or to, and it is mostly a person. To the teacher. We can also say, I wrote the teacher a note. It's another way to say the same sentence. I wrote a note to the teacher, or you can simply say, I wrote the teacher a note. As you can notice in this sentence, the indirect object is now after the verb. But what happened? Yes, we removed the preposition to or for. So, if the indirect object comes immediately after the verb, we should delete or remove the preposition that comes with it, like to or for. Other examples. Ali sent a gift to his mother. A gift is a thing. It is the direct object. His mother is the indirect object. Now, can we say it in another way? Yes, we can. Ali sent his mother a gift. Here, we change the positions of the direct and the indirect objects, but we removed the preposition to or for. Another example. He cooked a delicious meal for all his friends. What did he cook? A delicious meal. So a delicious meal is the direct object. For whom did he cook the delicious meal? For all his friends. So all his friends is the indirect object. So we can write this sentence in another way. He cooked all his friends a delicious meal. Notice that we have removed the preposition for. Let's look at more examples. Rania bought her aunt and uncle flowers. Or we can say, Rania bought flowers for her aunt and uncle. Let's look at the second example. Rania bought her grandmother some chocolate. Or we can also say, Rania bought some chocolate for her grandmother. And the third example, Rania wrote her parents a letter. Or we can also say, Rania wrote a letter to her parents. Both sentences are correct and they both have the same meaning. Now, let's summarize what we have talked about in this lesson and differentiate between the direct object and the indirect object. The direct object is mostly a thing. It's a note, flowers, a gift. The indirect object is mostly a person, to Ali, to grandmother, to the farmer. The direct object receives the action, while the indirect object receives the direct object. The direct object does not depend on the indirect object, while the indirect object depends on the direct object. Notice that we don't need to use any prepositions with direct object, while the indirect object usually comes after the prepositions for or to. And the direct object answers the question, what? While the indirect object answers the question, to whom or for whom. Okay, now I want you to check your understanding and try to identify the direct and the indirect objects in the following sentences. Let's start. 1. Hannah sent me an email. To help you answer to this question, please remember to ask the question, what did Hannah send? Or the other question, to whom did Hannah send the email? Okay, if we ask the first question, what did Hannah send? So we get the direct object, and that is an email. The other question, to whom did she send the email? We get the indirect object, and that is me. 2. I gave the dog a dish of water. Notice that the direct object is a dish of water, and the indirect object is the dog. The third example, Carla baked her family a chocolate cake. The direct object in this sentence is a chocolate cake, while the indirect object is her family. Remember that the direct object is mostly a thing, and the indirect object is mostly a person or a group of people. This exercise is for you. I want you to do it by yourself. Go back to your book and to the beginning of the lesson in order to help you in doing it. I will read it to you. Complete the following sentences. Yesterday, notice, yesterday, so we should talk about the past. Yesterday, Amy lent some money her brother. How can we complete this sentence? You can complete it in two different ways. We can say, yesterday, Amy lent some money to her brother, or yes, we can say yesterday, Amy lent her brother some money. Now I will leave the last two for you. Get a cup of coffee, her grandmother, and teach a new song, her little sister. Now it's your turn to write your own sentences using verbs that take two objects. Bring out your notebook. Try to write sentences with the transitive verbs that take two objects. Thank you for watching. عزيزي الطالب، إذا رغبت بمشاهدة هذا الفيديو التعليمي لعدة مرات يمكنك الدخول إليه عبر الرابط أو الكود في أسفل هذه الشاشة. شكراً لكم.